Why am I smiling, you ask? It's week 11 Premier League predictions. We reached 25,000 subscribers, and it was a record-breaking week here on the Full 90. I'll get to most of these in a little bit, but the main one I want to show you, the championship result and both teams to score mega acca. 4 teams, winning both teams to score 90-1 odds. I have a lot of people in the comments saying they didn't realize that I did predictions on other leagues, but from just Thursday to Monday in this 4-day period that we just came out of, I made predictions in, I think, about 15 different leagues across Europe. Sometimes I go out of Europe as well, whether that be into Africa, the US, Asia. But I want to give a shout out to all the patrons that support the channel on the screen. There are so many of you now, and when we get to 100 paid members, I'm thinking of doing a nice little stake builder challenge with all of you over there. So if you want to support me and the channel, get a shout out on every single video, then go to patreon.com/thefull90. Just as I said, we uploaded the last Premier League predictions video on the Thursday, and since then these are the winners that we've had. So we had Thursday, European Conference League football. We had the Conference League treble, the early kickoff treble, and the home comforts treble. Then we move on to the Friday. There weren't many fixtures, but we had the Friday night double and the Friday night treble. As you can see, it's all coming up the full 90. And then we had the weekend as well, the Serie A treble, the favourites Premier League treble. I thought that was, well, the favourites, of course. The Alt League treble, featuring the Portuguese League, the Swedish League, the Turkish League, Fenerbahce. What an absolute cheat code it is, by the way, when it comes to betting. The Alt 2-day Premier League treble, the Premier League Sunday double, and the 5-league 5-fold. Rangers and over 2.5 goals, 2 late goals for Rangers, Real Betis, Inter Milan, PSG, and then a load of goals in an Ajax loss. And of course, we can't forget this one right here, and that was just in the 4 days since I last uploaded a video. I normally wouldn't hammer on about the Patreon as much, but like I said, it was a record-breaking week. There are people over there that have told me that they've made thousands and thousands from just that weekend alone, and it only costs $10 to join for an entire month. We've been doing it for just over a month now, so everyone that has joined the Patreon, if you follow the tips, you would have made money, including the money that it costs to join the Patreon and support me and keep these videos going forever. So thank you all so much for your support. That was a long intro, but I just had to get to it because me and the members over on Patreon, we've been absolutely just freaking out all weekend, and I couldn't wait to tell you guys about it. So if you want to join, click the first link in the description. There are some really, really exciting games this week. We have Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, Bournemouth. What a game that's going to be. Fulham, Manchester United is where we're going to start, and it is one of the most intriguing ones of the week. I absolutely love the value of this. Manchester United to win, 2-1. My tip is Man United to win above evens. Above evens. Even with United's rocky sort of start, they're still ahead of Fulham in the table. Man United are better than Fulham, and Man United aren't playing at Old Trafford, where they seem to struggle a little bit. I think Man United to win at above evens is quite mental to me. I know it's funny to clown on Manchester United and everything like that, but they are better than Fulham. They're above Fulham in the league table. They always are. They've got better players. They should win this game. So I'm going for a 2-1 win to Manchester United. Evens, you could go Man United to win and both teams to score. You could go over 2.5 goals. You could go both teams to score. But I think Manchester United are so much better than Fulham. They're going to beat them 2-1. After this, it's Brentford up against West Ham. This one is much more difficult to call. But as you can see, the odds are the same for Man United and Brentford to win. With that logic, I am going to go for a 2-1 home win to Brentford. But West Ham, they are capable of getting something. I did think about doing both teams to score as a tip. West Ham actually play Arsenal in the League Cup as well. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. Man United will be playing Newcastle in the League Cup as well. Again, looking forward to seeing how that goes. So this isn't one of my most confident tips, but I am going for Brentford to win. Again, above evens. You could do an above evens winners double here. Odds of over 4. Brentford and Manchester United. You could do both teams to score an over in both of these games. I could see that happening. But moving on, we have Burnley up against Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace, the better of the two teams, but struggling to string wins together. I think Burnley take a point from this game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. My tip is both teams to score at 1.95. I had, obviously, Bournemouth and Burnley, both teams to score in that fixture as part of the 2-day Premier League treble over on Patreon last week. And Bournemouth ended up getting their first win of the season against Burnley. It really isn't looking good for Burnley. What was their one win? It was against Luton. I feel like that doesn't really count almost. You know what I mean? Like, Bournemouth is where... I mean, this sums it up, really. These 4 teams are going to be the teams that are fighting for relegation. Now, I predicted that Sheffield United, Luton and Bournemouth would get relegated. I thought Burnley would have a better season, and maybe they will. It's early days, but I think these 4 teams are the teams that are going to battle it out. Thank goodness for Everton. I can't believe Everton are still in this league, and they keep managing it. But speaking of Everton, we're moving on. Everton up against Brighton. To be fair, they are playing better football, Everton. They are slowly climbing their way out. They've made that gap now between them and the bottom teams. Brighton, little bit of a shaky month in October, really. Not quite as fluid as they were over here. Lots of high-scoring games. Every single game they've played, other than the last one against Fulham 1-1, has seen both teams to score on over 2.5 goals. I'm going to follow that trend. I'm going to go for a Brighton win against my better judgment, because Everton, they've won 2 games since Brighton last won a game. In fact, they've won 3 if you include Brighton's last win as well. So Brighton, they haven't actually won a Premier League game in the month of October. So I'm going to go for them to bounce back and get a win here. But my tip is going to be over 2.5 goals at 1.57. Like I said, you could do both teams to score, because both teams to score has happened in literally every single Brighton game, and that does allow for a 1-1. So maybe both teams to score is a better shout. I might change that. Do both teams to score, because then even if it is 1-1, which I think is a very likely scoreline, that will come in. But over 2.5 goals, 1.57. After this, Manchester City up against Bournemouth, 6-0. It's going to be a battering. It's going to be an absolute battering. Bournemouth got the win they needed. They don't need a win. They don't need a result here at the Etihad. 6-0. I've gone for Manchester City -2 handicap at 1.9, so they have to win by 3 goals. I was very close to saying Manchester City -3 handicap, so they have to win by 4 goals, because the odds are 2-1 or 3. I think that's phenomenal. So if you've got balls, if you've got cojones, if you've been a member of the Patreon for the last few weeks and you are in profit, which you would be if you followed the tips, why not chuck Manchester City -3 handicap at odds of 3 in there, because they are going to absolutely batter Bournemouth. Even with Pep Roulette, they are going to absolutely batter them. Batter them. There is no way Bournemouth get even close to this Manchester City team. 6-0. After this, it's Sheffield United up against Wolves. Sheffield United, the loss streak, the losing streak continues. 1-0 to Wolves. My tip is Wolves to win. 1.98, again evens. I like it a lot. Things you love to see. Wolves are better than Sheffield United. They suck. Moving on to St. James's Park. It is Newcastle up against Arsenal. I found this one very, very difficult to call. Obviously, as I said, Newcastle are going to play Manchester United in the Cup. I could see Newcastle upsetting Man United in the Cup, by the way. Arsenal playing West Ham in the League Cup. I could also see West Ham upsetting Arsenal, but Arsenal now, we've got to the point where there's been a few transfer windows where they've been bolstering up their squad. They now have a sort of squad where they can rotate. A couple of years ago, it was very much, yeah, Arsenal have a really great first 11, but they have absolutely no one to come in and replace, whether it's rotation, cup games, that sort of thing. Now they kind of do. You've got players on the bench that can do a job for Arsenal. So I think in the League Cup, they should be all right against West Ham. But here against Newcastle, it's going to be electric. I don't know why I'm going for Newcastle not to score, because Newcastle definitely should. I've gone for a 1-0 win to Arsenal. I don't really know why. I might change it to a 2-1 win to Arsenal. I mean, if you look at Arsenal's recent record against Newcastle, they win to 0 all the time. Arsenal's recent record against Newcastle is the best recent record anyone's got against anyone, I'm pretty sure. Arsenal's recent record against Newcastle is better than Man City's recent record against Arsenal, even not including the recent Arsenal win. So I'm thinking 1-0 Arsenal. I'm thinking 2-1 Arsenal. But either way, my tip comes in for both. Arsenal double chance and under 3.5 goals at 1.86. I could see this being a 0-0 at half time. I just think they're too... It depends. If there's an early goal, it could be 3-3. But I think Arsenal's defence has sort of got much better. They're a little bit more balanced, so because they're sort of stronger in defence, they lose a little bit of attacking fluidity up top, and that lends it to a lower scoring game, I think. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win to Arsenal. Could be 2-1, but I hope Arsenal get a result here. To be honest, I just want them to not lose. I know it sounds weird, but I love the fact that we're unbeaten. I want to keep it that way, and St. James's Park is one of the hardest places to go. Other than Anfield and the Etihad, that's probably the hardest trip in the Premier League. And Arsenal have beaten Newcastle there many times recently, so I think we can do it again. After this, Nottingham Forest up against Aston Villa. I think Forest are going to score, but I think Villa are going to win. Villa already creating a 5-point gap. There's 5 teams, I believe, getting promoted to the Champions League at the end of the season, the top 5, and Villa are making a case for themselves to be there. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Aston Villa, and my tip is Aston Villa to win. 1.88. The odds seem so inflated. It makes sense. Forest could grab a result, but I think Villa, they're gonna march on. They're gonna continue. They're gonna get another win. Speaking of another win, it's Luton Town up against Liverpool. I'm not gonna dwell on this too much. 3-0 Liverpool. I did say, it's funny with Liverpool, I've done a few sort of rogue tips. I did Salah to score anytime last week, and he did. I've done Liverpool to score a late goal after 83 minutes, and when I tipped that, they did. Last week, Liverpool Forest, I tipped there to be over 10.5 corners in the game, 1.83. There was 11 corners, so I've got a pretty good grasp on Liverpool games. 3-0 Liverpool. My tip is Liverpool -1 handicap at 1.66, only because I wasn't as certain on Liverpool and both teams to score, because I could have gone 3-1. That would also cover a -1 handicap, but I think it's possible that Liverpool win 3-0 like they did here against Nottingham Forest. So I'm going to go 3-0 to Liverpool. After this, it's Tottenham up against Chelsea. Chelsea were, I think they were unlucky against Brentford. By the end of the game, Brentford definitely deserved to win, but Chelsea should have had a penalty. They should have had a penalty. They would have gone 1-0 up, and Brentford, I think, would have struggled against that Chelsea team. They're not good at taking their chances, but I think Chelsea were a bit unfortunate. However, I think Tottenham are going to win. I do think they are. 2-1 to Tottenham. I don't think so to the point where I'm going to go for this tip. My tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61, but I think that is going to be an absolutely phenomenal game, an exciting game. My dad's a Chelsea fan, and I watched the Brentford game with him, and it was just, yeah, not a good experience for him. But that is going to do it for my Week 11 Premier League predictions. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe down below to join us on the road to 30,000 subscribers. If you want to get privy to the tips from all different leagues, dozens and dozens of leagues, as well as the Premier League, like I do in these videos, then you can support me by joining the Patreon using the link in the description. It only costs $10, and every single member that's done it so far would have made that money back and more. So that is going to do it from me, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.